ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। Hare Krishna. Reading from 10th canto, chapter 49, text 29. Chapter entitled Akrura's Mission in Hastinapur. So we will be discussing from 29 to 31. So 29 is on the board. So please repeat after me. यो दुर्विमर्शपथया निजमाययेदम् सृष्ट्वा गुणान् विभजते तदनुप्रविष्टः। तस्मै नमो दुरवबोधविहारतन्त्र संसारचक्रगतये परमेश्वराय। यो दुर्विमर्शपथया निजमाययेदम् सृष्ट्वा गुणान् विभजते तदनुप्रविष्ट। तस्मै नमो दुरवबोधविहारतन्त्र संसारचक्रगतये परमेश्वराय। यो दुर्विमर्शपथया निजमाययेद सृष्ट्वा गुणान् विभजते तदनुप्रविष्टः। तस्मै नमो दुरवबोधविहारतन्त्र संसारचक्रगतये परमेश्वराय। Yes, please repeat. यो दुर्विमर्शपथया निजमाययेद सृष्ट्वा गुणान् विभजते तदनुप्रविष्ट। तस्मै नमो दुरवबोधविहारतन्त्र संसारचक्रगतये परमेश्वराय। यो दुर्विमर्शपथया निजमाययेदम् सृष्ट्वा गुणान् विभजते तदनुप्रविष्ट।
तस्मै नमो दुरवबोध विहार तंत्र संसार चक्रगतये परमेश्वराय यो दुर्विमर्श पथया निजमायेदा सृष्ट्वा गुणान् विभजते तदनु प्रविष्टा तस्मै नमो दुरवबोध विहार तंत्र संसार चक्रगतये परमेश्वराय.
Word to word translation, translation and purport by disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki. Yaha, who, durvimarsha, inconceivable, pathaya, whose path, nija, by his own, mayaya, creative energy, idam, this universe, srustva, creating, gunan, its modes, vibhajate, he distributes, tat, within it, anupravishtaha, entering, tasmai, to him, nama, obeisances, durababodha, unfathomable, vihara, of whose pastimes, tantra, the purport, samsara, of birth and death, chakre, the cycle, gataye, and liberation, coming from whom? Parama Ishwaraya, to the Supreme Controller. Translation. I offer my obeisances to Him, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who creates this universe by the inconceivable activity of His material energy and then distributes the various modes of nature by entering within the creation. From Him, the meaning of whose pastimes is unfathomable, come both the entangling cycle of birth and death and the process of delivering from it. Purport. When all is said and done, Dhritarashtra was not an ordinary person, but an associate of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Certainly, an ordinary person could not offer such a learned hymn to the Lord. The next sloka translation. Sukadeva Goswami said, having thus apprised himself of the king's attitude, Akrura, the descendant of Yadu, took permission from his well-wishing relatives and friends and returned to the capital of Yadavas. Akrura reported to Lord Balaram and Lord Krishna how Dhritarashtra was behaving towards the Pandavas. Thus, O descendant of Kurus, he fulfilled the purpose for which he had been sent. Thus ends the purports of the humble servants of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada to the 10th canto, 49th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam entitled Akrura's Mission in Hastinapur. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratishe Namaha.
हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं श्रीपरमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरम्। हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण। So we are reading the pastimes of how Akrura is meeting Dhritarashtra, and this is, I think, the last verse that Dhritarashtra is speaking. And if anyone just reads this prayer, just the verse number 29, he would be amazed after reading the verse that this is spoken by Dhritarashtra, who was speaking the first verse of Bhagavad Gita, like yesterday Prem Sarup Prabhu was speaking. With this verse filled with so much of attitude of devotion, as is explained in the purport, also has a very deep meaning which Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur speaks about. Definitely, as per the purport given here, Dhritarashtra is a great soul, but he is employed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to teach us great lessons. Like yesterday, I had gone for a class, I was explaining how we were discussing how this Namhatta preaching started. And this Namhatta preaching started with yatra parties, or like there were some devotees who came together. They used to go to village after village, and one village they will make some dramas, Kalir Dusopna, like the dream of the nightmare of Kaliraj. And then they will make those dramas, and as soon as it will be done in the night, whole night. And after the night, that seeing how Kaliraj is trying to trouble everyone, and now because people are chanting Hare Krishna, everything is going to go away, and he's seeing a nightmare, how his endeavors are going to get futile. And by the end of the night, so many people would commit, after seeing the drama, to leave non-veg, to leave all sinful activities, and start chanting at least one round of Hare Krishna. And then the Jatra party will go to another village, and village after village after village. And in that, there was some devotee who would be acting as Kaliraj. Yes, but that devotee would be a 16-rounder devotee. That devotee would be following all the 4 regulative principles. But as a drama, he is just presenting himself as Kaliraj, just to give a particular lesson to the public. He doesn't mean it. Exactly in the same way, when Krishna comes and enters in the material world, it is just like a yatra, an entourage. An entourage of his all personal associates
who are all coming, and someone acting on a negative role and someone acting on a positive role, to actually present the most wonderful lessons to all of us. So Dhritarashtra, according to our acharyas, is a great soul. But how a great soul can be greatly deviated is what the lesson that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says. Now, for some ordinary person to repeat such prayers, it's very, very difficult. But a person of the caliber of reciting such prayers to the Supreme Lord, practically understanding the tattva of the Supreme Lord, we see, I offer my obeisances to Him, to the Supreme Personality of Godhead who creates this universe. The scientists of today's world, they think Darwin by inorganic evolution, but Dhritarashtra, the negative personality of Treta Yuga, even he knows that the Supreme Personality of Godhead created this universe. It's not an ordinary soul. And then distributes the various modes of nature. The most intelligent personalities of today's world don't even know that there are 3 modes working. Dhritarashtra knows. From him, the meaning whose past tense is unfathomable. Most of the people, the most intelligent people of today's world don't even know that the Krishna performs pastimes. They think these are all mythology. Dhritarashtra is telling Krishna performs pastimes. So such a great soul, having such deep knowledge, can also get deviated in life. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, there is different words in this. He elaborates on the second word, that is Durbimarsha. Bimarsha means trying to understand through intelligence. And Durbimarsha means one who can never be understood by intelligence. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that Dhritarashtra wants to speak to Vidura and Akrura, that, oh Akrura, understand that the activities of the Supreme Lord are very difficult to understand by one's intelligence. The same Supreme Lord who has sent you to enlighten me, the same Supreme Lord is inspiring from within my heart to not get enlightened. Hare Krishna. Just imagine. Because, and if Akrura asks the question, how can you just tell like this? You cannot understand, it's inconceivable. Durbimarsha. It is just like a judge when he is asking, why did you murder that person? Now the same Supreme Lord who brought him in front of me is the same Supreme Lord who gave me the strength to hold the knife, is the same Supreme Lord who gave me the inspiration to kill him, and is the same Supreme Lord who has actually murdered him. Hare Krishna. And if the judge asks, how do you speak? It's inconceivable. Durbimarsha. And the judge will say that, and the same Supreme Lord is giving me strength to sign on the capital punishment that I am going to give you now. So in this way, we see that how our intelligence, if it is not channelized within the purview and the boundaries of our acharyas, of the great souls and saints, it can get thoroughly deviated. Jai Sri Nitai Gauranga ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It can get thoroughly deviated. It's evident. Even a kindergarten student would understand how Akrura is going wrong. How Dhritarashtra is going wrong. Yes?
There is no ambiguity. Lord had clearly sent Akrura for a mission to make Dhritarashtra understand that how he is going wrong. The verses Dhritarashtra is hearing from Akrura, it's so clear. But Dhritarashtra is telling, or the philosophy he is speaking is, it's inconceivable, you cannot understand. And because I am intelligent, I am able to understand. And Akrura, you are not that intelligent, or maybe you are intelligent, but we have to understand we are all simply puppets in the hands of Krishna. Just like Akrura, you have become a puppet in coming here to Hastinapur to enlighten me. I am also a puppet in the hand of Krishna. I am just a puppet to allow Duryodhana to do whatever he is doing. Hare Krishna. So when our intelligence is not channelized within the boundaries of the great souls, within the boundaries of the Shastras, Dhritarashtra did not channelize his intelligence. He didn't made the fencing of his intelligence based on the verdict of Akrura and Vidura, who are great souls, who are the acharyas, who have come to enlighten him. So when our intelligence is not channelized within these boundaries of great souls, we will use our intelligence to become more intelligent than God. And today's topic, we will discuss about how when intelligence gets deviated, just like there is a river, and when a river overflows the banks, it creates havoc. It creates havoc. So exactly in the same way, this intelligence is gifted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but it has some conditions. Just like when we purchase some product, there is a condition applied to the product. We can't use it in any way as we use it. Like you purchase a smartphone, you cannot go to your washroom and put the shower on and then use the smartphone, it will get spoiled. So every product or every gift or whatever we have has a inbuilt conditions or methodologies to be applied to ensure that the product is being used properly. So the intelligence gifted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead has a condition that you have to use the intelligence within the boundaries of the scriptures, within the boundaries of the great souls and saints. And if you don't do that, you will land up into the problem what Dhritarashtra landed up in trying to utilize and rationalize your intelligence to become more intelligent than God. Dhritarashtra thought that he is more intelligent than Krishna. And this is a childish mentality, a spoiled child. The conditioned souls, the Nitya Baddha Jivas of this material world, they are the spoiled child of Krishna. Most of you do not have experience of dealing with a spoiled child, but I have seen in my house my cousin, sister, spoiled child. Spoiled child means like it's so difficult to handle. This he wants and he wants. That's it. That's a spoiled child. The tendency of a spoiled child means that if it doesn't go my way, then my parents don't love me. Dhritarashtra is a spoiled child because if Krishna is interfering with my plans, with my attachment, then I will use all my intelligence to prove that how this is what Krishna wants me to do. And I know Krishna better. You Akrura, you don't know. Though you have been sent in a mission, I know the mission of Krishna. I have understood the heart of Krishna. Yes. And this is what we see that the whole modern society is trying to do. The whole modern society is utilizing the material intelligence, which is a gift of God, to become more intelligent than God. Just to give a recent example that happened in my life last so many years, as all of you know, I have been suffering from terrible problems of stomach upset and all those things. And last 2 years, the doctors, every doctor I visited, definitely every doctor has his own unique philosophy and really, but every doctor I visited, this is the first time I realized that there was a singular unifying suggestion from all the doctors, that stop gluten diet, go gluten free. This is the first time I am hearing in my life what is gluten. And then I said, what is gluten? Said ki wheat contains gluten, roti. I said, roti contains gluten and I have to stop taking rotis? He said, yes, it's the roti which is creating problem in your stomach. I said, I have been taking roti from childhood. Last 32 years, 33 years, I have been taking roti only. And I have seen my parents, my uncles, they don't even count rotis. My mother would prepare 7 kilo of atta, rotis worth 7 kilo of atta every day in the night. And my own grandmother would take rotis like this and feed my uncle. And there was no count. That was the first condition my grandmother put before my mother, that if you count the rotis and give to my children, you cannot become a daughter-in-law in our house. There is nothing called counting. Counting means you do not have love. It has to be given as a stack. And my uncles, if you see their pictures with a big mustache, and like, no one in our family is like me. I'm the worst product in my family. They are like so hefty and big, like doctors ask, does anyone in your family have this type of problem like you? I said, my family, everyone is healthy. They don't even count chapatis and you're telling me to stop chapatis. And I have been never getting convinced about the fact that why I should stop something which I have been taking last 32 years. And then I have been asking a lot of questions, and most of the doctors said, wheat is not of our Indian origin. You see, anything wrong happens in India, it's nice to blame the Britishers. Indians have a tendency that, Britishers brought wheat and taking wheat is creating problem. But then I was not getting convinced because, in Vrindavan, roti has been before the Britishers. And recently I talked with a doctor who gave an insight which is quite relevant to today's class. The doctor said, you see, 60, 70 years before, my Nanaji, my Dadajis and all those things, when they were growing wheat, the height of the wheat plant would be 6 foot. Practically above your head, the stalks of wheat will be there. And now if you go to a wheat plant, it is 1.5 foot. So the scientists, using their big intelligence, trying to become more intelligent than God, they thought that this wheat plant is taking so much of nutrients from this earth, and most of the nutrients for most part of its life is going in making it taller. So let us become more intelligent than Krishna. Let us make this wheat plant not go in height, but go fatter. because it's the stocks that we require, it's not the height that we require. So over last 60, 70 years, scientists, biotechnologists, and the seed inventors and innovators have genetically modified and researched and researched and researched in such a way to reduce the height of the wheat plant and increase the breadth of the wheat plant. So there are more stalks of wheat in the plant than the height of the plant. Hare Krishna. And in the course of it, every year from last almost 5 years, 6 years, per year, more than 10 to 15 lakhs of gluten intolerance cases are coming up. And then I asked, but there would be some wheat plant which is 6 feet high. Said, they have modified it so much that original wheat plant that grew 70 years before is practically extinct. This is an example of trying to become more intelligent in God. And similarly, we see in all aspects of our life, everywhere, every domain, we have tried our level best to become more intelligent in God. Bhagavad Gita clearly says that this material world is not our home. This material world is a miserable place. But we use all our intelligence to make the material world the most comfortable place. Trying to become more intelligent in God. Bhagavad Gita says that chant Hare Krishna. The Kali Yuga, Bhagavatam says that the Yuga Dharma of Kali Yuga is Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And trying to become more intelligent, we chant Gayatri. You go to people, you say, chant Hare Krishna. Swamiji, can you teach me Gayatri Mantra? I said, Gayatri Mantra is not for Kali Yuga. You chant Hare Krishna. No, Swamiji, Gayatri Mantra is a very serious mantra. Lord Chaitanya is the incarnation for Kali Yuga, is the Yuga avatar. And you go to people and say, I don't believe in Lord Chaitanya. He's simply a saint who came to this world. All the scriptures speak about Lord Chaitanya as an incarnation of the Supreme Lord Krishna. So in this way, our material intelligence, when we are not guiding it through the banks of the scriptures, through the banks of great souls like Akrura and Vidura, we may land up into what Habakkuk, Dhritarashtra landed up into in trying to become more intelligent than God. Which all our scientists, practically everyone in Kali Yuga is trying to do that. That's why Bhakti Vinod Thakur is in a prayer has mentioned this very nice song, all of you can refer up to the class, is Vidyar Vilase. In that song, because recently one devotee, our Susanta Prabhu, was during Rath Yatra time, because the cook went away, so he was cooking for me. And while he was feeding me, so I used to ask how you're finding here in Gosala, you're feeling comfortable or not, and all those things. And he was telling, I am comfortable, but I see that in Gosala there are so many educated devotees, so that brings a little bit of uncomfortable because I am not that educated. I'm not. What can be done? You know, I have not read. I have read till even primary school. I said to him that I pray that if this time Krishna takes me to Golok Vrindavan, very nice, because I cannot force Krishna to take me this time. But if this time Krishna doesn't take me, the only prayer I have, a request to Krishna, is that next time I am born completely foolish. Because you do not know the difficulty of being intelligent as an IITian. And I said, Bhakti Vinod Thakur knows it, and I will tell you this sloka. And then I explained to him the verse from the Vidyara Vilase, Jada Vidya Jata Mayar Vaibhava তোমার ভজনে বাধা, মোহ জনমিয়া অনিত্য সংসারে জীবকে করয় গাধা। জড় বিদ্যা যত মায়ার বৈভব, this material intelligence not guided within the purview of scriptures like the intelligence of Dhritarashtra, which nice prayers he is making through using Sanskrit words, but completely with a different intention, which our acharyas are telling. This material intelligence like Dhritarashtra is mayar vaibhav, is the wealth of illusion, wealth of the material energy. Just like you require wealth to purchase gadgets, you require wealth to purchase anything in this material world, exactly this material intelligence gives you empowerment to purchase illusion in this material world. The empowerment to purchase illusion or the empowerment to get illusion in this world comes from material intelligence. If one is not intelligent, then the illusion level, to the degree we are intelligent, to that degree we are illusioned in this world. And we see the great scientist, the biggest scientist in the history of 21st century is a scientist who wrote a book which created a cascade of atheism within the minds of intellectuals in the Western world. I would not like to tell the name, you can Google him out. He wrote a book. He was practically crippled, handicapped, and he wrote a book, the greatest scientist and physicist of the modern history, but he wrote a book which created a cascade of atheistic intellectuals last 100 years. Dhritarashtra. So we see that these are mayar vaibhav, wealth of the material energy to help you purchase illusion. And Narad Muni speaks such a wonderful story about a Brahmana and a cobbler. Yes, we all know the story. And the Brahmana was intelligent and the cobbler was less intelligent. And Brahmana was illusioned and cobbler was completely enlightened. Yes, all of you know the story. So it's important. We have certain degree of intelligence in our life, but in order to ensure that the intelligence does not empower us to become more intelligent than God, we need to channelize or guide it within the purview of scriptures, within the purview of great souls and saints like Akrura and Vidura, Mahajan. Tarko pratishto shrutayo bibhirno. Lord Chaitanya quotes this sloka again and again in Chaitanya Charitamrita whenever he wants to establish any philosophical principle. Even Srila Prabhupada. Tarka apratishta. By debate through the material intelligence, srutayo bibhinna. From the Shrutis, from the Puranas, just like he's speaking from Shruti. Yes? Is there any ambiguity that Dhritarashtra is not speaking anything wrong philosophy? He's speaking completely right philosophy, but tarka apratishta. Because he has based his philosophy on his own material intelligence, not according to acharyas. That is why it is creating havoc. Mahajanayena gatasya pantha. The only way to understand the scriptures, to understand the goal of life, is not by reading scriptures, but by reading scriptures within the purview of our acharyas.
Dhritarashtra is simply doing a mental speculation in trying to understand the mission of the Lord. Mahajanaya nivatasya pantha. And that's why when Vallabha Bhatt came to Jagannath Puri, he wrote Srimad Bhagavatam commentary. And he wanted everyone to read those commentaries. Everyone. And no one wanted to read it because Lord Chaitanya did not approve it. And Vallabha Bhatt was, because everyone knows if Lord Chaitanya approves something, it is approved by the Supreme Lord. So Vallabha Bhatt was again and trying, going and approaching. And Lord Chaitanya had a protocol that anyone wants to get anything certified, it has to go through Swarup Damodar. And Swarup Damodar never certified it to take it to Lord Chaitanya. And finally, Vallabha Bhatt went to Lord Chaitanya and said, I have written commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam which even defy the commentaries of Sridhar Swami. And Lord Chaitanya says, any lady who does not follow the Swami, the husband, is simply a prostitute. And Vallabha Bhatt was so embarrassed with that comment that he went away. So the intelligence of Dhritarashtra, according to Lord Chaitanya, is the intelligence of a prostitute. The quoting of the prayers by Dhritarashtra, the quoting of the Shrutis by Dhritarashtra is the intelligence of a prostitute. Because that intelligence was not guided by the great soul Akrura and Vidura. And we see in the same chapter another great personality, Kunti Maharani. Srila Prabhupada writes that Kunti is the most intelligent woman in the entire creation, in the book Teachings of Queen Kunti. And if you read the first prayer of Kunti Maharani, exactly matches with what Dhritarashtra is praying. But our acharyas glorify the first prayer of Kunti and condemn the prayer of Dhritarashtra. Though the meaning, literal meaning of both the prayers is same. Kunti Maharani says, Namaste Purusham Tvadyam Iswara Prakrite Param Alakshyam Sarva Bhutana Antarvahiravastitam Maya Javanika Channam Agyadhokshajam Abhyayam Agya Adhokshajam Abhyayam. O Supreme Lord Krishna, you can never be understood by material senses. And that's what Dhritarashtra is speaking. Durvimarsha. Kunti is speaking Adhoksaja and Dhritarashtra is speaking Lord is Durvimarsha. It's a different word in Sanskrit with the same meaning. But our acharyas condemn the prayer of Dhritarashtra because he rejected the scriptures, he rejected the sadhus, and they glorify Kunti Maharani. Because Kunti had the innocence. We may have intelligence, but if we lack innocence to channelize our intelligence according to the scriptures and acharyas, we will land up into the problem that Dhritarashtra landed up. Just to speak about the innocence of Kunti. You see, Kunti is not an ordinary lady. She is wife of a Kshatriya. And nowadays these burners and all, they don't work. You know, someone is born as a Kshatriya, he doesn't have a Kshatriya blood only. But Kunti was no ordinary lady. Kshatriya means she's really very, very courageous. Very bold. And we find in the past times that when
Kunti and all the 5 Pandavas, they actually escaped through the help of Vidura, the house of lack, and they went and took shelter in a village, in a house of a Brahmani, who was widowed also. So this Brahmani had children, and they were living. One fine day, Kunti could understand that the house was so filled with moroseness. Kunti went to this Brahmani lady and asked, "What happened? Why you are so morose today?" This lady confided that how there is a voracious man-eating demon called Bakasur staying in the vicinity, and he would eat everyone and everything, attacking our villages, and we had made a treaty with him that we would provide one man every month or every 14 days in a turn from each family, and that's how you'll be satisfied. And today my son is going to go and to be eaten by Bakasur. Kunti said, "Oh, this is the cause. I will send Bhima." Then this lady became so upset. "You are our guest. Don't do it." I said, I am your guest, then it is important that you follow the guest. You must serve the guest. And I want to be served like this. I want my Bhima to be sent to Bakasur today. Because I have so many sons. I have 5 sons. But Kunti knows who is Bhima. So she is that intelligent. In Odisha, there is a saying that Bhima Bala Kunti ko jana. The strength of Bhima was understood only by Kunti. So Kunti was an intelligent lady. She understood how powerful was Bhima. She understood how powerful was Arjuna. She understood how philosophical and principle-oriented was Yudhishthira. She understood everything. And she also understood through diplomacy, it's very easy to sideline Dhritarashtra and the Kauravas, because Kunti had the support of Bhisma, Kunti had the support of Dronacharya, Kunti had the support of Vidura. Yes? So through intelligence, Kunti could have easily sidelined Kauravas from Hastinapur. Through diplomacy, Kunti could have easily sidelined the Kauravas, but Kunti did not use her intelligence, because none of the great souls like Vidura or who's to come? Markandeya, none of them suggested Kunti to follow this course of action. Though Kunti sent Bakasur, Bhima to Bakasur, but Kunti never used diplomacy and intelligence which she had and which she knew to drive out Kauravas, because her intelligence was always guided by Markandeya, by Narada, by Vidura, and by Bhisma. She had the innocence to tolerate what is happening in her life. She had the innocence to tolerate the sufferings that are coming in her life in following the instructions of the great souls. Though she had the intelligence to ensure political diplomacy to drive out Kauravas from Hastinapur. So all of us should understand it's the innocence that can take us to the spiritual world. Intelligence should always be employed with innocence, that Krishna is my well-wisher, the spiritual master and my superiors are well-wisher. We should never think or never an attitude that I have grown so much that I need not consult anyone. This is the beginning of the fall down. When your intelligence empowers you to an extent that you are convinced that you don't need consultation in life, your intelligence is like the intelligence of prostitute of Dhritarashtra. It must be guided according to Acharya and scriptures at all the times. Vallabha Bhatt is an Acharya himself. But even an Acharya himself has to follow the Acharya Sridhar Swami. That's what Lord Chaitanya gave the lesson in that pastime. We cannot think that if we have become an Acharya, we can defy the Acharya and the power of our intelligence. We must have the innocence to follow the disciplic succession. And that innocence will protect us like Mother Kunti was protected from getting deviated by our intelligence in becoming more intelligent than God. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So we see the past because Janmashtami is coming. I'll just take 5 minutes. And we see this feature of innocence as the most unique, special feature of Sri Vrindavan Dham. We find in Govardhan Leela. It's not that the Brajavasis were not knowing what will happen if we stop the Indra Puja. They were knowing everything. It's not that Brajavasis were not knowing what Krishna is telling. But Brajavasis had that innocence faith that my intelligence, my mind, my body, my everything is just for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of God and Krishna. And if Krishna wants Govardhan to be worshipped and not Indra, even though our intelligence is convincing us that we must worship Indra because we really don't know how Indra will react to it, but our intelligence, our mind, our body, all this paraphernalia that we have brought for Indra Puja is all meant to please Krishna, is meant to serve Krishna. That innocence of the Brajavasis made them to worship Govardhan. And that innocence of the Brajavasis made, if anyone tells us, you see what it takes to become Brajavasi. Even if Krishna directly comes to us and tells that stop the offering to Nitai Gauranga now today and let all the offering be gone to this mountain today. It takes certain amount of innocence to believe that I have been doing this for so many years. I am the deity in charge of this temple, and you are telling me today to offer to this banana plant? What nonsense is this? That's what Brajavasis were doing. The Indra Puja is not against the scriptures. Yes, Brajavasis were purely following Indra Puja. They were not doing Indra Puja according to the pujaris of Kali Yuga in Newtown, ting, 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 and Dakshina de do. That's not like that. They were not worshipping Indra like that. They were worshipping exactly according to the Vedic hymns. Exactly. And not that year they started it. For years and years and years they have been doing. And they didn't say that anything. They were just ready to shift the entire thing to Govardhan. Govardhan Puja had not been started that time. Brajavasis were never knowing that Govardhan has to be worshipped. Don't think that Govardhan worship was going on and the Brajavasis thought anyway Govardhan Puja is also going on. Govardhan Puja was never a custom in Vrindavan. Just like in New Town, there is never a custom of worshipping banana plant. But if Krishna comes and says, worship this banana plant, do we have that innocence to sift all the offerings to the banana plant? That will take us back to God. That is the mood of the Brajavasis. So our intelligence should be subservient of our innocence. If Krishna tells that worship the banana plant, we should use our intelligence how to worship the banana plant nicely. Not use our intelligence that why banana plant. Worshipping banana plant also requires intelligence. Worshipping Govardhan requires intelligence. And worshipping Indra required intelligence. But Brajavasis had the innocence to sift the puja from Govardhan, from Indra to Govardhan, and utilized again their intelligence to worship Govardhan in the best possible way because they had the innocence. So this is what is required in our life to enter Sri Vrindavan Dham. And all of us, if we analyze our heart, we can understand we are so far away from the consciousness of Sri Vrindavan. So let us this Janmashtami pray sincerely to Shri Radha Krishna, Shri Nitai Gauranga. Shri Nitai Gauranga has come to bless us with the mood of Sri Vrindavan. Let us pray that, O Lord, let me develop innocence like the Brajavasis. Let my intelligence not bring hindrance in your pastimes, in my service. Shri Shri Janmashtami Mahamohotshav ki, Shri Shri Nitai Gauranga ki, Jai Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Vancha Kalpataruvasya Kripa Sindhu Devacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnava, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki.